Your advertising is your vehicle to the offer. The offer is really what's getting people into the door. Brands can either hire someone in-house or they can hire an agency. And both of those are potentially bad options. Overnight demand to the business tripled. We turned off all ads. Customers kept coming. We stopped sending emails. Customers kept coming. We had a trial offer. We took that off the website, and demand instantly slowed down. And that was like a light bulb went off. Tell them, hey, that's actually a bad idea. AI will, if you push it enough, be like, you're right. That's a great idea. That's why it's not as valuable as a human that can be like, no, actually, that's a mistake. Don't trust the ad libraries. The best creative comes from inspiration. Hi, I'm Cherene Aubert. I'm the CEO of Growth Capital, former SVP of Digital and Ecom at ILIA, former VP of Growth and Data at Bobbie. If you want to connect with me, you can find me on LinkedIn or Twitter. My handle is Cherene Aubert, Aubert. I got my start at agencies. I was at quite a few different agencies. I was at a software design and development agency where I built their in-house marketing services team. I was at a boutique agency that led Shark Tank brands. We were agency of record for Shark Tank brands. And then I joined Common Thread Collective, which I think I was lucky, joined at the height of the Facebook marketing boom and got to lead their growth strategy business unit. And during my time there, we grew from 5 to 15 growth strategy teams, leading businesses that were doing 0 to 50 million in sales, from founder-led small businesses to Procter & Gamble owned native deodorant. After being at Common Thread Collective, I went brand side at two phenomenal brands. One was Bobbie and one was ILIA. And so Bobbie, I was their first growth hire. We went from 0 to 100 million in 2 years, acquired a competitor brand, got our own manufacturing, become one of the top 5 brands in the market. And then I joined ILIA. I joined post-acquisition. The brand had been acquired by Clarins family. So Clarins is a legacy French skincare business. And I came in post-acquisition, oversaw their D2C, Amazon, global advertising, CX, data, and it was amazing. That was my dream job. I was in one of the most fun industries, doing everything that I loved, working with an amazing team and a great culture. I got free makeup all the time. What could go wrong? And so I decided to leave and quit my dream job and wanted to go off on my own for a while. I am an entrepreneur by spirit and wanted to take the leap for the first time. And I didn't have a game plan, really. I knew that I wanted to build something. And as I started to work with brands, that was the first way that I could generate income for myself was, let me consult with a few brands and see where it goes. And I was like, I'm never going to start an agency. I worked at so many agencies. It's terrible. You're just getting abused by clients left and right. You have 10, 50 different bosses, and then you have your actual boss, and you can't go deep enough. And I had all these reasons why I would never start an agency, but I was like, let me just consult with a few brands here and there and then build the real business that I want to build. And as I started working with brands, it became very clear to me that there's a huge gap. There's all these brands out there. They want to hire growth marketing talent, and not just growth marketing talent, media buying talent, creative talent. But I think specifically from my point of view, there was a big gap in this growth leadership, head of growth role, where brands were expecting people to come in out of 2 jobs and have the sophistication to grow a big omni-channel business to meaningful scale. And it just wasn't a realistic expectation. And then I think the available talent in the market is underdeveloped in that this is pretty much a new field. And this, you see this with like TikTok Shop too. TikTok Shop has only existed for 2 or 3 years. And so the most experienced person in TikTok Shop only has 3 years of experience, and people are hiring heads of TikTok Shop who've only had 1 year of experience. But that's what I'm saying. This digital industry is so new. And I think for growth marketing and digital, it is such a massive driver for business. And so I noticed that there was a talent gap. And so I started that agency muscle memory kicked in, and I started assembling a team of people that were killers that have been brand side and agency side before, who've done it. And we also started to build our own software. And I know there's a lot of controversy around software being dead and AI replacing all software. But I think we're not there yet. I don't think AI has replaced the expertise of a digital marketer who's been in the field for more than 15 years. Maybe we'll get there soon. And then everyone has a different framework and methodology that they use. So I had pretty clear frameworks around forecasting, daily projections, what to do if KPIs were missing or hitting forecast. And we built that philosophy and frameworks into our software. And that's what our team uses day to day to operate the brands that we work with. And that's what our clients are using to report on their business performance. Oh man, I am every day I toy with becoming a course bro, but I'm not a course bro yet. I think I think about it all the time. And I think the course bro is the legend of the industry, because that is a big problem. Like, people don't have enough apprenticeship, and everyone works remotely now too. So many businesses are remote. So when I got my first job, I got to go to an office and I got to sit with people that actually were like middle-aged and learned a ton of stuff from them that I would not have picked up otherwise, like how to talk to people, how to lead a conversation with an executive, how to present well, and how to manage people and how to persuade people. And these are things that are really hard to teach. And that's just like the soft skills, but then you have the hard skills. And I learned so much sitting next to developers, designers, project managers, SEO people. Any kind of skill set you absorb by osmosis. And in a remote first world, and I'm a big proponent of remote work and I want to continue remote work, but I think this like knowledge sharing and courses and developing education for people and figuring out how to teach them what you've learned is like key for the industry to keep getting better. So one of the biggest lessons that I've learned about growth and digital marketing came from my time at Bobbie. Bobbie's an infant formula brand. And during my time there, we had amazing forecasting sophistication, and we were able to predict the future with our forecast. And while I was there was an infant formula shortage. One of the big competitors, the industry is a duopoly. So 80% of the available supply in the market is controlled by two companies. And one of those companies went out of stock. They had to recall all of their products. So overnight, we saw that the demand to the business just tripled. And we at first were like, well, this is awesome. And we're growing so fast. And then we considered the forecast we had and the repurchase rates and the cohort behavior. And we looked into the future and we were like, oh, shoot, we're actually going to run out of product if we don't do something. If we got to stop our marketing, we got to turn off every marketing lever, because we don't want to run out of, we have subscribers. The most important thing right now for them is to get their product on a predictable basis. And people were freaking out. They were hoarding. There was panic in the grocery stores, like the aisles were empty. People could not find that's scary if that's the only thing that you can feed your baby. And so we stopped all marketing and we didn't see any impact to demand. We turned off all ads. Customers kept coming. We stopped sending emails. Customers kept coming. We stopped all upper funnel brand marketing partnerships. Customers kept coming. We were like, what is going on? And then we decided, we had a trial offer. It's called the starter bundle. We took that off the website and demand instantly slowed down. And that was like a lightning light bulb went off, lightning in a bottle, light bulb went off moment where I understood that the offer was such a big part of growth marketing and growth strategy. And yeah, so your advertising is your vehicle to the offer. The offer is really what's getting people into the door. So brands today have a choice. They can either hire someone in-house to run growth, and that can be quite expensive, and it's really hard to find talent. And the talent that is really good knows that they're really good, and they usually are charge a premium, have a premium salary, or they decide to leave and make more money on their own. And so brands can either go down that path or they can hire an agency. And I think both of those are like potentially bad options. And maybe I'm biased, but with the growth marketing in-house full-time hire, that is what most brands need. A lot of brands can't afford that, or they may think that they're getting a good rate on talent and that talent isn't actually what the brand needs. Or they can hire an agency who is made up of junior people who can. And I think generally an agency is you are giving a group of people money in exchange for a work product and execution. And it's really hard for an agency to actually deliver meaningful results. So you're paying for execution. And then a true growth partner, and like, I think this is consultants, or the way that growth capital likes to work is we actually partner with the business in more of a fractional leadership capacity. And the core difference is we get a deep understanding of their financials. So we work with their finance team, we look at their P&L. And I think any kind of financial understanding that any person, any field, from a growth marketer to a designer, any kind of financial understanding of the impact of their work is the highest leverage thing that you can have. It makes you an incredibly invaluable asset. So I think the difference between a growth partner and an agency is that a growth partner can actually dig into the performance. I've seen so many times agencies are making media buying decisions, and they have a sizable budget, and they're making budget decisions or deploying valuable capital into Meta, and all they're looking at is the Meta ad account. And it's crazy to me because they don't have any understanding of what's the first order profitability, what should CAC be, what's the payback on these customers. If the ad account looks like it has a high CPA and a certain ad is doing well and you instantly shut it off, you have no idea what that's doing for the business. For example, I was looking at a brand, they have an agency and we're overseeing their agency, and we see the agency just shutting off ads left and right, pulling back spend because CPAs are high. And we completely went in, restructured the ad account, left ads on that were being shut off, and started to see their CAC improve drastically. So yeah, I think like having an understanding of the business performance and financials is critical. So we're using a ton of AI in the work that we do. And the way that we keep being human while using AI, because there's nothing more valuable than human labor still. Any brand wants to pay a premium for working with a human. They don't really want to pay a premium for working with an AI agent because there's not a high degree of confidence in the output yet. And I'm a big proponent of using AI. We use it in our work every day. And then I'm a big proponent in actually investing in human talent who can do things that only humans can do, knowing that brands want to pay for that skill set. And there's nothing more valuable than being able to sit in a meeting with an executive and answer an incredibly difficult question, or even tell them, hey, that's actually a bad idea. Where AI will, if you push it enough, be like, you're right, that's a great idea. That's why it's so not as valuable as a human that can be like, no, actually, that's a mistake. I've made that mistake before. I have experience. I've seen what happens when you do that. So the unlock becomes, how do you define what parts of the work that AI does and what parts of the work that humans do? And AI is really good at data analysis, but you have to give it very clear guardrails about on what data to use, how those metrics are defined. And so one thing we do is we have a data infrastructure that we've built. We ingest data from Shopify, from ad platforms. It comes into our data warehouse. We have data models that we've built with metrics defined that AI has access to. and then we can prompt the data and do data analysis. And like I said, AI is really good at data analysis, but people are actually really bad at asking data questions. And in my life as a data leader, I've seen this time and time again. And people have a lot of distrust for AI data analysis, but I have a lot of distrust for what questions people are asking of AI and what outcome they're expecting. Because having worked with teams and managing data teams, I've seen the requests or the prompts that come into data teams. And I'm like, I'm going to stop you right there. You're asking the wrong question. What is your goal? What are you actually trying to get out of this data analysis? And how do you ask the question in the right way to get the right output? I think that's a huge skill that people are missing. And this is a little bit tangential. I'm supposed to be telling you about how we use AI, but I think anyone that's using AI should first understand, how do you ask a question to get to the goal that you're trying to get to? And it sounds so simple, but it's like the thing that people miss the most. And yeah, if you can figure out how to ask AI the right questions and give it the right data, then you can do a lot of reporting automation. And I think AI is non-deterministic, so it could produce a different outcome every time. And so what I think you need to do is define specifically the outcomes that you want. And that's what we do, is like we have these reporting frameworks that we have battle tested in boardrooms where the board members led multi-billion-dollar companies. And so we bring that level of reporting framework into our AI tools. And then our software is AI enabled. My dream is to release that software to other growth marketers or service providers or creative strategists and agencies and let them use it. But yeah, we use agents. We have AI agents that work with us in Slack. We have an agent called Liam who has access into our software. He has access into our Google Drive, and the team works with him to, hey, look at last week's performance, put it into this Google document for me. We have like weekly automated reporting that we're doing with our agents, and any kind of task that we need done. If a brand is evaluating growth partners today, they should be looking for a team of people that are going to be working directly on their business who has done something similar. So I think like the traditional agency trap is you talk to someone really senior and they sell you on the business, and then you join and you start working with someone that is really good at maybe like Google ads, but hasn't grown a business before. And so I think that's what I would assess. What is their actual track record in growing businesses? I think a lot of marketers are stuck in an echo chamber, and I think we perpetuate this cycle by using the same practices and tools. For example, Motion is an amazing tool. Foreplay is an amazing tool. These are creative research tools that we all use. And I strongly believe that we're using them in the wrong way. So the typical, or even Facebook ads library, forget the tools. It's just the available resources that we have. If you go into Facebook ads library, your first thought is, I'm going to look up my competitors and see what ads they're running. And then I'm going to use that as inspiration for my ads. On the surface, that sounds great, but we actually know that Meta is penalizing lack of creative diversity. We know that ad content fatigues quickly. And I've looked in enough ad accounts to be able to tell you with confidence that a lot of media buyers aren't media buying in the right way. And so you have no idea if what they're running is working. Sometimes I've had, and this is my own putting myself on blast, but sometimes I've had people analyze the ILIA ad account and they're like, this ad has been on since 2024. And I'm like, oh, that ad was getting no spend. And we left it on in some brand awareness campaign that we wanted to keep running, like upper funnel content. And it's actually not a good performing ad. There's like all these reasons that brands could be doing something. We had to run this brand awareness campaign, whatever it is. So don't trust the ad libraries is the first point. The second point is the best creative comes from inspiration. And if you think about the best creative strategists or the best marketing campaigns you've seen, those creative teams were not looking at competitors and trying to copy them. Those creative people were like, what is the feeling I had when I walked down the streets in Rome? Or what is the feeling I have when I was eating cereal as a 6-year-old in front of the TV watching Saturday morning cartoons, right? They're getting inspiration from all these things and they're creating a campaign. And so it's really hard to create good content. And I actually think if we were to just go back to that Facebook ads library example, if you're to look for anything, look for brands in other categories that are similar in positioning or premiumness or whatever, but in a different category and see what they're doing, or like a similar enough category potentially. If you're in the supplement category and that's like a high replenishment business with subscription, like why not look at baby formula or something that is not exactly copying like your supplement competitors, but something that's also like a high subscription, high replenishment business as an example. If I were coming up with a campaign today, I think the best example of high performing campaigns come from the team at ILIA. And one example in specific was we had our friends and family sale. It's a semi-annual sale that we run. And the creative team creates like a complete brand identity for these sales so that it's not just like a black static ad with white or red text that says sale on it, that there's some kind of brand sentiment that is conveyed and brand identity that's built through the campaign, even a sale. And the creative team rented these like old vintage cars and made bumper stickers. And I think for most brands, this might be like, okay, far out of reach. And we ran this mashup for social that was shots of the car, shots of the bumper sticker. And it was just the sale campaign, but it was like cool video, cool imagery. And it was one of the top performers for the sale, which has surprised me. And it also had a ton of social engagement. Like fans of the brand were commenting how much they loved the campaign, the creative. Those moments where you see people commenting, give the marketing team a raise. That's like when people love the marketing, they actually resonate with the brand more than if they saw a static that's just a high converting static. So the goal is to try to do both. Get it to convert in paid media and also get people to love the content and creative. And I just think about the creative team's process. They wanted to create a summer vibe. They wanted to create a California cool vibe. They had this whole like concept. They got inspiration from different places. They created a mood board. They did things that were funny. And so I think I look back on that as a premium example of how to do that. We don't all have that time luxury to do that level of deep creative thinking, but if we do, we should. If a CMO had bandwidth for only one change this quarter, and this is a big, scary change, if this is a CMO of a brand that there's different stages of brands, but let's say 8-figure and above brand, because you would assume the CMO has some budget, I would tell them to spend less in influencers and spend more in affiliate and social commerce. And then I would, same question for an earlier stage brand. Earlier stage brands typically don't spend enough in influencer and they spend every dollar they have in Meta. And so I know having spoken to a lot of them, they don't spend enough in influencers. So for them, I would say start testing influencer and don't necessarily measure it on a direct response ROI basis, but measure it in a way where you're getting amazing content, you're getting influencers that have reach. And yes, you want that content to perform in your paid media. But the underlying theme is get onto TikTok, shop, and run an affiliate program at scale. That would be my advice.